This is the final video that trains you how to use the portfolio VaR model in Excel. In this training video, we're going to learn how to do style analysis. In this case, let's say you've run your model, you have an asset allocation recommendation for your customer, but they come to you and they have a large portion of their portfolio in the Fidelity Contra Fund. Here's the ticker for it. And so in Yahoo Finance, I've entered this particular mutual fund. You want to know what the asset allocation of this fund is. How much do they have in large cap stocks, small cap, and bonds, etc. You could look in the prospectus of the fund to see what they say it is, but a more accurate way is to do a style analysis where we let the historical performance of the fund tell us how it is allocated. So if you click on historical prices, we know that we need monthly data. We know that the model we're using goes back to June. We put June first because we're using monthly data, and actually goes back to 1996, so we want to bring in that information. You then click on Get Prices. You go down to the bottom of that page. There's a button to download it to a spreadsheet. So we do that, download it to a spreadsheet and open it, and you'll see that file come up. And so here's my monthly returns for the Fidelity Contra Fund. We want to use the adjusted close because that'll get us the most accurate total return number because it includes dividends. So what we're going to do is highlight everything but the date in adjusted close and delete that. You might want to put the ticker of the fund in the top so you remember what it is. And then the last thing to do is highlight all the data that you have and then go to Data and hit on the A to Z so it sorts it from oldest to most recent. Take all of that and highlight it and then right click and copy and then go back to the risk spreadsheet. On this spreadsheet you have the model, the output, but the third sheet is historical model. What you want to do in historical model is go, you see where row 6, A6 has 696, you want to go and just cursor off to the right somewhere, anywhere, maybe column X, and just paste that in. Now you have that for your model. We know our model goes down to February 2012, so go down to the bottom of your data, and you don't need March, so I delete March, I just have it through February. So the next thing you need to do, we have these prices for our mutual fund. What we need now is to calculate the return. So remember that is we do equal the July price divided by the June price minus 1, and that will give us a return. You can see it's already highlighted to percents, but if not, you can just go home, click on percent, make it 2 decimals, and there's our return. That's the return for July 1996. If we hit just a corner of that, we'll copy it all the way down. So that gives us our returns monthly. What we want to do now is calculate an R squared. So you might want to type R squared in the spreadsheet, and then what you want to do is go back to the left, and let's just give the model a starting asset allocation. So in column B3 we'll put 20% in large cap, 20% in small cap, 10 in developed, maybe 5 in emerging, 35 in fixed income, and 10 in high yield, and just make sure it adds up to 100% in column H. And then go back off to the right, back to column Y, X and Y. We're going to calculate the R squared. The formula for R squared is exactly the correlation formula and then squared. So we're going to do equal CORREL, open parentheses, and then go down and highlight the returns of your mutual fund, hit the comma, and then come over and highlight the returns of the asset allocation model, which start in column K, row 7. So go there, hit your period, and highlight all of that. Then you can close your parentheses. That's not the R squared, that is the correlation. So edit the function, and you need to do Shift 6, which gives you the caret, and then 2 so that you square it. And that becomes your R squared. You may want to hit the percent sign just so you can see that it's percent. So what this is saying is that allocation we just typed in column B3, the 20%, 20%, etc., has an R squared with the Fidelity Contra Fund of 80.7%. Can we do better than that? Well, probably so. So hit the data button and click on Solver. And what Solver will do, you have to set it up, so hit Reset All. Say OK, and what you want to do is you want it to maximize and go over to R squared. Maximize your R squared by changing, click on the next box, by changing, and go back over to B3, hit your period, and highlight B3 through G3. It's hard to see here, but B3 through G3. And you want to add some constraints. The first constraint you want is you want that H3, this is the sum of your allocation, needs to add up to 1. You want to add another constraint which says that I3 is less than or equal to 1, so you can't allocate more than 100% to any of them. And you want J3 to be greater than or equal to 0, so you don't have any negative numbers. You click OK, and you tell it to solve. You might look at the options. On the options, what I would change is the tolerance. Change that to 0.000001, or just a bunch of zeros. On the convergence, add a couple of zeros there. You just want low numbers, and say OK. Then you can click Solve. And you can see that's what it's saying is the best answer, 82.82%. Can you do better than that? Not if it said it found the solution. So it's saying that's the best allocation. So at 82.82, we might try it one more time and maybe try a little bit more precision under the options. So add a couple of zeros on the precision and on the tolerance and on the conversion just to make sure. You click OK and run Solver again. It says that's the best it can do. So if you go back, so you can explain 82 to 83% of the volatility of your fund through this allocation. What allocation is? If you go back to B3, you'll see that it says the best allocation is 46.2% large cap, 23.38 small cap, 11 developed, etc. all the way across. They're saying that this mutual fund is best explained by that allocation. That's something you could write about in your paper. You can see that this fund with an R squared of only 82%, it changes its allocation frequently, so it's hard to explain it. And so it may not be a good mutual fund for your customer to have. You'd like one that you can explain more of its allocation. So all of that you could write about. So if your customer wants to use this fund, you'll have to allocate around these allocations so that they don't have an over allocation to any one asset class.